Welcome to my preview of the Outback Bowl featuring 7-5 Penn State going up against number 21, 8-4 overall Arkansas. Noon Eastern Time, Saturday, January 1st on ESPN2. Arkansas favored by 1 point in this matchup and given a 58.6% chance of winning. Series history, first ever matchup between these two teams. That is a major trend in this bowl season this year. Record reviews. So for Penn State, I was thinking that they would go 9-3. Yeah, I know that they didn't have necessarily the best season last year. I think it was 7-5 last season. But I really thought that they'd turn a page this season. I really thought that what happened last year was not necessarily reflective of them overall. I thought that was kind of COVID getting in the way more than anything. So I really thought they were going to take a turn a page here. So I said 4-5 last year. Sorry, not 7. I don't know why that's 7-5 written there. But 4-5 last year, but 11-2 the year before that. I thought that they were going to return to that more 11-2 form versus the COVID year, which I did not think was reflective of this program. However, not reaching that state 7-5, which is close to what Athlon Sports was projecting for them at 8-4. For Arkansas, completely different story. I thought they would go 3-9. Athlon Sports did think they'd get to bowl eligibility at 6-6, but they haven't had a plus 50% overall record in the last 4 years. They're also a team that a couple years ago lost to San Jose State before San Jose State kind of turned a corner. So this is not an Arkansas team that has been anywhere near where they were. Really, they've been on a downhill trend since Bobby Petrino ended up being let go. So this is an Arkansas team that's really been on a downhill slope, and they have surprised everybody this season. A lot of that because of their incredible quarterback, Jefferson. But a big part here in the play in Arkansas getting to a ranked top 25 ranking here, an 8-4 record in a very, very tough schedule here in the SEC. So incredible props to them, but definitely not what really me or anybody else was expecting for them this season. So overall, how these teams got here? Well, Penn State started out amazing. 5-0 wins against Wisconsin and Auburn before going 0-3. So they started out 5-0. They're having this great season. And then boom, 0-3. Losses to Iowa, Illinois, and Ohio State. So that is really, really bad, especially Illinois. That is not a team that you want to take a loss to. And then they finished off the season here 2-2, which included a loss to the Michigans. They lost to Michigan and Michigan State in that 2-2 stretch. So started off the season great. Really looked like they were going to have a great start to this season here, and then ended up stumbling. I mean, Ohio State's understandable. Iowa's understandable. But Illinois, come on, Penn State. Really not having the season that fans thought that they could have based on how they started off. Arkansas, not quite as linear. They started off 4-0, wins against the Texases. So they won against Texas and Texas A&M. And then 0-3, but not quite like the 0-3 that Penn State had. They went 0-3 against Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn. So, yeah, a team that Penn State was able to beat in Auburn. It's interesting, that parallel there, that Auburn is a team that Penn State beat, but Arkansas didn't. But those are good teams. 0-3. That's definitely better teams overall than Iowa, Illinois, and Ohio State. Especially Georgia matches up well, better than Ohio State. I'd say Ole Miss is definitely on the level of at least better than Iowa, and Auburn definitely better than Illinois. So I don't take the 0-3 skid that Arkansas had quite as seriously as the skid that Penn State had midway through the season. And then they finish off the year strong. 4-1 wins against Mississippi State. Their only loss in that stretch was to Alabama. It was only by 7 points. So this is a very, very good Arkansas team that's finished off the season strong versus a Penn State team that has really skidded down the season against teams that they should have been able to go out and win against, and really haven't been able to do that. So I think that this is an Arkansas team that's better than their 8-4 record, and a Penn State team that is on a downward trend despite the 7-5 record at the end of the season. So top players of the game here, well, for Penn State, it's going to be that wide receiver Dotson, 1,182 yards receiving, 12 touchdowns, which is almost half of the total passing yards that Penn State has. So he's definitely their main target here. He's going to be a big difference maker going up against this SEC defense in Arkansas. For Arkansas, it's KJ Jefferson, sophomore quarterback who's had an amazing year, dual threat across the board, 2,578 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 554 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns, 4.4 yards per carry. Keys to the game here is going to, of course, be using these key players, but overall here for Penn State, play containment versus Jefferson. You know, there's no real run game outside of Jefferson. I mean, Arkansas does have 3 different running backs who all have over 400 yards, but no real workhorse back behind Jefferson here. So if they can contain Jefferson, a lot of times you get these maneuverable quarterbacks, you force them into the pocket, they're not as comfortable there. If they can contain Jefferson, they'll be able to pull out a win in this one, because he really is their entire offense. For Arkansas, have Jefferson find his legs again. He started off the season great. At one point he was averaging over 6 yards per carry. I mean, he had one game where it was like 11 yards per carry, something like that. So he started off the season averaging over 11 yards per carry, but in the last three out of the last 4 games that he's played, he's averaged under less than 3 yards per carry. So teams have really focused in on containing him, and that's been the difference. So find ways, design running plays, RPO, maybe spreading the defense out with some deep passes or some middle of the field type passes to kind of get the defense to back off. Do whatever you can to be able to get him to find his legs again, because I think him proving his dual threat ability against this Penn State defense is going to be the difference in Arkansas being able to pull off a win in this one versus coming away with a loss. So my prediction in this one is that Jefferson takes over the game with all eyes on him, gets Arkansas that win. But if that doesn't happen, if he doesn't have a great game, then they're going to take a loss, because he is the guy that this entire offense is rooted through. All right, so thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. I am previewing every single bowl game this season. I just finished previewing the 2 playoff matches this year. That's in my playlist. That's where I will put in the description for this video. Make sure you go watch that. Thanks for watching the video. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, go Big Blue.